Good evening, brothers. My name is Sean Palmer. I serve as the director of the Upper Mid African American Cultural Center at UNC Wilmington, and I am proud and glad to serve as one of the moderators for this evening. I also am a 23-year-old member in the House of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, serving most recently as the corresponding secretary for Gamma Kappa Lambda chapter down in Wilmington, North Carolina, and also serving currently as its corresponding secretary and its political action chair. I am grateful for all of the opportunities that Alpha Phi Alpha has afforded me. And one of those opportunities tonight is to meet our very own future ANCA district director. His name is Brother Lucio Holland. And I am joined as a co-host by my good colleague who I will allow to introduce himself from all the way from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte.
Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here with you all this evening as we discuss very important topics within Brother Louis Holland's campaign. My name is Jeffrey Carter. I am a third-year public health major on the pre-med track at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and I'm just here to provide a college brother perspective for this evening's conversation.
Brother Carter, we know that it is hard to get away in the middle of the evening when you are studying normally, but we are grateful that College Brothers are committed to helping make sure that ANCA has the right person for the right time in the right place. You ready to begin?
Yes, let's go ahead and get started.
So we're going to start with just some basic conversation, Brother Holland. We want to start with you just kind of laying out your platform for us and having just giving us an idea of what we can expect from an Holland administration.
Sounds like a plan. So I think what you expect before I get into the platform, my co-host, 1 second. Yeah, what you can expect is transparency. You can expect collaboration. You can expect a real solid focus on the work that we need to get done in the district. Again, for those that do not know, I am running on the platform of ANCA Reimagined, advancing our people, our process, and our policy. And what that looks like is an opportunity for us to really support our brothers through use and leveraging the brotherhood continuum. And I will go ahead and share my screen real quick before we hop into all the question and answer. Let's see here. All right, slideshow. So moving forward, what the brotherhood continuum is really is rooted in who we are as brothers. I want to focus on the collegiate transition program. I want to appoint a district surgeon general to ensure that we get the continuum of support up and running to champion preventative health engagement. I'm really big on making sure that we can support our communities by ensuring that we can support and take care of ourselves. And then lastly, around Brotherhood Continuum, we have the Senior Brother Affairs Committee that I want to really focus on finding opportunities for our senior brothers to get engaged through the Alpha Ambassador Program. So before we move on to operational refinement, I'm going to take a step back. Again, I am Brother Louis Holland, and I want you to understand this. I am a son, a husband, a father, a servant leader. Been married for 13 years now, 14 years. My son is 13. My daughter is 10. But what you also have to understand is I'm a consensus builder, and I am a brother first brother in all interactions. So I was initiated in 2008 to the AW Lambda chapter, where I served as the chapter president. I was fortunate enough to finish my life membership subscription this past December. So my number is 16474. And again, brothers, I'm leading at all levels. I am the current Area 5 director for the great state of North Carolina. I'm the director of technology for the Southern region, and I work on the convention technology team at the general office level. So I have the capacity to build horizontally as well as vertically in my interactions with college brothers and alumni brothers alike. Outside of Alpha, I am a manager at Duke Energy. I manage a team of 21, and we are charged with ensuring that the network operational support for Duke Energy is at tip-top shape. Again, I manage 21 at all varying levels of expertise and longevity in the organization. So I understand what it takes to manage our personalities, manage growth, manage development. I am good at all the above because I'm going to listen first. And I think that is the only way that we make a difference is by listening first so that we can make real action for what we hear. If we're just listening to respond, then we've missed the mark. So that is who I am in a nutshell. And we'll hop into operational refinement now. I want to make sure that using the work that I do at Duke Energy around continuous improvement and making things better on an iterative basis, that we can ensure that we invest in the platforms that reimagine how we do our work. I want to ensure that our website is updated. I want to make sure that our website is interactive and really a self-service tool for the brothers of the district. You will find that the continuum of support is going to be a part of the website so that as you engage in that preventative health activity, you'll know where to go get it. You'll know how to access it. We're only as good as the leaders that we develop today, brothers. So I want to make sure that with the Anchor Emerging Leaders Initiative, we're exposing our cohorts of leaders to the regional, district, and general organization matters so that brothers really understand what it is we're trying to get done from a leadership perspective, engaging with leadership practitioners in and outside of the organization will also be helpful in executing that charge. And then lastly, around operational refinement, partnerships are everything in today's society. We have to make sure that we're partnering with the right affinity groups that support our mission, aims, and cause, and really find ways to work together and quantify that work that we're doing so that we can properly tell stories about the work we're doing together. And then lastly, around advocacy and education, the mentorship curriculum of go to high school, go to college really needs a invested focus on the go to high school portion. So getting the unified mentorship curriculum in place that is going to support our middle schoolers, getting them into being healthy high schoolers is going to be a point of emphasis. And for our high schoolers, we want to make sure that the LDCEI is a summer program that we're going to put on HBCU campuses in a major way. Partnering with the right people, getting the necessary support rather to make it a reality is what I am excited about undertaking. Next, we have our public awareness campaigns around the voting efforts of 2024 and the midterms in 2026. Voting is going to be extremely important in our communities, especially those marginalized communities that we serve. So making sure that they have their voter ID, making sure that they can navigate to those resources to make sure they are supported in a very meaningful way is going to be a focus of the Holland administration. And then finally, I want to advocate for homelessness and affordable housing. That is a real problem out here in the greater Gaston community. Being a suburb or trying to be a suburb of Charlotte, we're starting to see an influx of homelessness and affordable housing issues in Gastonia. So the work that I'm doing locally on the city and county levels to shine a light on what that looks like in this community, working with my chapter brothers around what that looks like. I want to shine a larger spotlight across the district on what homelessness and affordable housing looks like, because if we can't provide affordable housing, it really does disrupt the work that we try to do around education. So we need to make sure that we fortify where these middle schoolers and high schoolers and elementary school kids have to sleep so that they can come and be productive citizens. That is the platform in a nutshell. I will stop there so we can get into the question and answer.
We appreciate that, Brother Holland. Thank you for giving us just a little bit of insight into what people might see with your program. Now, we recognize that Brother Carter is going to help us think through what college brothers might face. And since we're thinking about Area 1, we know that anything that you present would be affected, would affect Chowan, would affect ECU, and it would affect Elizabeth City State University. So Brother Carter has keyed up a question or two, and so let's get into that right now.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so my first question ties back into your Emerging Leaders Program. So
Yes.
in what ways, spaces, or capacities can college brothers expect to have more opportunity to serve the organization at large?
So as I look at how I want to construct the district, I want to make sure that our committees are no less than 5 members, with at least 2 college brothers on each committee, each standing committee per the Constitution in Anchor. So that is how we get our college brothers engaged in leadership at the district level. Given the numbers that we're fighting, or the numbers issues that we're fighting around our college brothers, we're going to get the Standard of 7 Commission up and running to fortify those college enrollment numbers or college admission numbers for perspectives to become brothers. But until we do, making sure that we have at least 2 on each committee is going to be helpful to make sure that we can continue to grow our leaders and in the context of that Emerging Leaders Initiative.
Okay, thank you so much. And just a
Absolutely.
follow-up, so understanding your extensive work within the region in regard to technology, what ways can college brothers see improvement in regard to the access of these different opportunities that you will bring to North Carolina?
So I think access comes through communication. If we don't communicate how to get access, then there's nothing to do. It's a non-starter, right? So ensuring that the communications team is putting out timely information that is digestible by your generation is important, because the way that my generation communicates and the way that your generation communicates is totally different. So again, those 2 brothers sitting on that communications committee team will be tasked with making sure that the information we put out is digestible by your generation. Moreover, just leveraging technology in general, using the necessary platforms to create job postings or assignment postings that brothers can access, peruse. That's, from a technical perspective, that's simple work that I really feel like my director of technology, once he is appointed, will undertake to ensure that we're leveraging technology to make ease of use our overall goal in getting access and getting plugged into the work that we have to do at the district level.
I think those sound like really, one, laudable projects, but also like doable projects in terms of like how we leverage our younger brothers in positions of leadership. I wonder if you could talk about what you see, why you see the need for a committee for like a Standard of 7 in terms of helping to build out chapters around the state and country. I mean, around the state and around the region and in our areas. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about what is at the heart of driving the initiatives to make sure that brothers, young brothers, are in roles that are more than just seat fillers.
The only way to really develop as a leader is to get weighty assignments. Like, I don't want to just hand out busy work to brothers young and old. I want to make sure the stuff that we're doing and the initiatives we're undertaking in the district are value add. As far as the Standard of 7 Commission goes, we really have an opportunity to support the college brother in a meaningful way post-COVID, because right now 36% of our chapters are below 7 active members on their campuses. And if we're not careful, we also have 9 chapters that are on the bubble, I call it, between 7 to 9 members that would absolutely drive up that 36% number. So making sure from a college brother perspective, the district is supporting our Alpha advisors and engaging with our universities on the campus trending around enrollment, engagement, like the activities that are good activities on campus, the activities that don't do so well on campus, to kind of gauge what this generation is into. Moreover, the fact that the Alpha advisor is going to be so key to this role, we have to invest, well, key to this opportunity, rather, we have to invest in our Alpha advisors. So having a listening session initially to gather data and gather information from our Alpha advisors on their pain points, opportunities that they see to shore up what this role looks like will be very important. And then I want to also make sure that as we continue to transition our college brothers into alumni chapters, getting that universal fee structure in place for the college chapter brother to pay the 50%, the 75%, the 100% of their general dues as well as their chapter dues, and then sharing that information at the College Brothers Summit that my team is currently working on, making sure that we can realize in the first year of the administration.
Good. I love that you, as you know, that I love the utilization of brothers to teach them and train them, because we know that every brother is not at a university that has the mechanisms to give them the kinds of skills that they need. We know that brothers are at a wide range of universities. And we know that there are a wide range of graduate advisors, right? We know that there are advisors that are very hands-on, and then there are advisors that are very hands-off.
Right.
What might be 1 to 3 elements that you want to see graduate advisors and universities employ to support Alpha chapters around the state, undergraduate chapters around the state?
Yeah, so I think that if we can ensure that first the Alpha advisor is trained, uh, holistically trained, the Alpha advisor understands the desired outcomes and expectations of the role, I think is another gap that we may potentially have. And then third, like resolving the apathy that exists with the role. We have to make the Alpha advisor role sexy again, and it starts with the alumni chapter really making sure that they're building out quality advisory teams, because the advisory team is a opportunity that not every chapter participates in or leverages, but I know we leverage it in my local chapter, the AWU Lambda chapter. We have an advisory team for Nu Zeta as well as Pi Nu, and we want to make sure that we can offer that as a best practice so that we can avoid burnout of our Alpha advisor as they continue to work on getting the necessary training that they need and understanding the desired outcomes from their leader, because this is such an important task. I do plan to be hands-on with the Alpha advisors until they feel like they are supported and making sure that our college brothers are supported.
I know, Carter, this is Carter's area of expertise. So Carter, come on in and ask a couple of questions that would help for people to understand what a Holland administration might look like for working with advisors. Talk to us.
Yes. So, in regard to like advisors, I believe that that is a very important topic that really isn't addressed within the community, especially referring to like undergraduate brothers. I've had my fair share of conversations where there are brothers who have said that they have had limited assistance from their advisor or have had assistance from their advisor, but it may not be in the full capacity that they need. And so speaking more towards advisors, do you plan to like implement a training that advisors would be required to go through before being handed the keys to a chapter that may be struggling in membership or finances or different things like that, just so that we can ensure that our college brothers have all the tools.
Yeah.
So let me.
So, uh,
Is there a training that you plan to implement for our up and coming advisors?
so for the up and coming advisors, there actually is a regional training that is required by all advisors that they need to take to be certified. But in the context of the College Brothers Summit, we will have advisory enrichment and get the College Brothers and the Alpha advisors in the same space, working and pulling the same plow towards the same goal. So yes, we'll sit down with what we call our more seasoned Alpha advisors that may have some best practices on things that worked in their chapters, and we'll try to put those on paper and provide them in that Alpha Advisory experience at the College Brothers Summit. I think that we have to tackle them together because they work so closely together. Let's go ahead and try to enrich them in a meaningful way in the same space.
All right.
Have you
Thank you so
seen?
much for.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry, Brother
Yeah.
sorry.
Carter.
Um,
Keep going.
just kind of shifting the gears a little bit. So
Yeah.
talking about the advisor connection is very important. However, I would like to shift the focus to connections amongst chapters with each other. So my question is, in what ways have you already implemented things, or in what ways do you intend to implement things to foster the connection between not just undergraduate chapters with one another, but with their alumni that kind of preside over them as a whole?
So I mean, I'll point directly to the tailgate series we got going on out here in Area 5. I mean, that is partnership at its finest. Right now, I'm on a text chain with Brother Robert Mahoney and Brother Noah Aline at New Zeta because that's where we're going on Saturday. That is a tight partnership of coordination and making sure that we're creating those initiatives for college brothers and alumni brothers to work on in a meaningful way. You know, when you hear tailgate, like you think socialize, you think that, it's just having a good time. But the tailgate series really was born out of the need or the necessity to ensure that we show a strong alpha presence in all of our Area 5 chapters on one Saturday each month, and really getting our college chapters together to fellowship as much as their schedules allow in a fellowship type space. Being the leader of Area 5, our biggest opportunity in my time as the director has been fellowship. It hasn't been doing the work of Alpha. We do the work of Alpha very well, but getting together outside of our chapters, coming together as a larger area has been an opportunity that I really feel like just focusing on the social aspect and supporting the service aspect as needed has been one of the biggest wins, and something that I want to make sure we continue as we get our chapters working more closely together. And then, of course, service is the rule of the day. So the partnerships and the initiatives that are important to college chapters as well as alumni chapters, really coming up with a tight knit plan and scheduling your calendars is going to be something else that we'll want to try to accomplish coming out of the College Brothers Summit as well, with that advisory enrichment piece. Just making sure that we have tighter bonds to ensure that we're working as sharply as possible.
I love that Brother Carter has set us up into moving and thinking through what it is like to think about fellowship across chapters, because we want to follow in what our jewels have asked us not to do, which is to be clannish around our chapters and to think that our own chapter is the only way to do it. And so I want to tee up a question that is also related to that advisorship fellowship set of questions. What ways are you have or will you have area directors connect with universities in relationship to the colleges where they are seated? What are the things that you want to do differently or maybe even standardize as parts of the practices of working with universities?
So I think it starts with me and the Alpha advisor going to a discussion with the university president or the university admissions director to help them understand our plight. I think once we communicate effectively with one another, it gives us an opportunity to find commonality in our challenge. If these universities really uh, value us being on their campuses, then they are just as invested in our success as we are. So having that conversation with the leadership on the campuses, helping them see and understand the type of support we need would be the first thing that I would do. And I really feel like the first year is going to be just a listening tour, understanding what the ask is and understanding what we need to tackle. And then we put the Alpha Advisor Committee to work on coming up with those solutions to make it a reality.
Are there any things that you are there anything based on your work in your area that you expect to find that might be statewide trends?
I think the private institution and the rural area chapter is a trend that is just flat out across the state. Tau Omicron is one of our private institutions up at Davidson, and you have Pi Nu and Nu Zeta in the mountains, rural PWIs. I think you'll see it on the eastern side of the state with the Ada Nu, Chawan, those types of schools. You see the sparsity of potential brothers. So really just getting with the admissions teams on those campuses and understanding how we fortify those numbers would be the biggest trend I would see us needing to tackle. Where are the prospective members? How do we need to tailor make our programming to engage that type of prospective member? Are the things that we need to be focused on? Absolutely.
Love that. I love that. In the area director or an assistant area director role, and maybe even in your assistant director role, I imagine that you see a number of brothers who are either protocol driven or fellowship brotherhood driven. What is the right kind of fit for that role? And what do you expect to see from somebody who might be working in your administration to serve as your ambassador in those roles?
So my expectation is for them to read the room. Like, and when I say read the room, if you know that you got a service heavy chapter, engage them in fellowship. If you see you got a fellowship heavy chapter, engage them in service. I think that we only iron sharpens iron, as they tell us, right? So if iron sharpens iron, we need to create safe spaces for the advisors and the chapters to have thoughtful dialogue around, hey, this is what I'm seeing, without it being you're not doing. You see how those two phrases sound very different. So making sure that we come at it from the perspective of partnership and not the perspective of being a dictator is what I expect for those advisors and my area directors to do. Because, you know, Jeff knows, I mean, we work together. I fellowship with the best of them, but when it's time to do the work of Alpha and the business of Alpha, we're going to be on top of it and get it done.
Okay. Does that mean for chapters who are negligent around, say, having regular chapter meetings for undergrads or graduate and alumni chapters, that their fiscal house is not in order, that they might see a different version of you? Or what does that mean in terms of, like, are you going to have your area directors go in and do trainings for chapters that are really in kind of harm's way? What might be your way of safeguarding chapters that are kind of on the brink of killing themselves?
We safeguard our chapters by empowering our chapters with information. So making sure that when we have our summer board meeting and leadership retreat, we bring our vice presidents and you know presidents and leaders at college and alumni levels alike into the district leadership meeting and talk about what the expectations are for the year. If they can't make it, the goal is to leverage technology to create that ease of use, right? So how do we get those that can't make it engaged in the hybrid setting so that they can hear the information firsthand, understand the spirit and tenor by which the information is being communicated so that we don't run into secondhand information. I really feel like communication is the key to making all of this work. So if I have, underperforming chapters, the version of me you're going to see is how do we fix it? I'm not going to point fingers. How do we fix it? There's got to be some type of impediment in the way that is blocking us from getting to a resolved state, correct? So in that, making sure that we remove those impediments is my job. My job as leader is to remove impediments, not to do the job. So in calling and engaging with my area leadership, understanding what the gaps are is going to be key to make sure we don't have any underperforming chapters, because we shouldn't if we communicate properly.
Love that. I want to
Yeah.
segue over into chapters, chapter sizes, kind of keeping with the spirit of Brother Carter with the fellowships. But I know we know, some of us know that you were, prior to your roles in this current role, that you were a successful small chapter president at the alumni level.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about what that was like reflectively, and then how that might show up in your administration.
So, so listen, it shows up in my administration, and I'm gonna work backwards. You won't find me doing anything in my administration that I'm not going to ask you to do, and vice versa. If I'm asking you to get out in the foxhole, I'm gonna be right behind you, because that's just the type of leader I am. And I basically built the chapter by engaging, setting a vision, and not letting the vision be dictated by who can and cannot be present. Because what you find is when you build consistency over time, people will start to come. So that's how I decide to lead. I'm not going to cancel an event because it's poorly attended. We'll have the event. It'll just function as a dry run, and we'll check and adjust and make the necessary adjustments to make it a success the next time. But letting people dictate how you go about doing the business of Alpha uh, can sometimes be a pitfall, especially when you're dealing with smaller chapters. So you got to find your core 4 or 5 that you know are going to be there regardless, and you have to keep them encouraged, and you can't overwork them, because it's really a marathon, not a sprint. When I talk about getting to 34 members at the end of my tenure as president, that was a 3-year process. It wasn't 36 days, it was 36 months to get that type of growth and consistency that it takes. And now, having been out of the role another 36 months, we've grown to 47. So the processes and things that we put in place to ensure that we're growing down here in Gastonia in a meaningful way are still in place today.
Do you see overlaps in how a smaller grad chapter might work alongside and be acknowledged with the grad chapters who are more notorious and more larger? Or are there nuances to working between the two that we should pay attention to in your administration?
I mean, yeah, there are definitely nuances, because every chapter is going to have their tribal customs. So that goes back to reading the room. I can't expect a Eta Mu Lambda to do the same thing as a Kappa Lambda, to do the same thing as a Gamma Kappa Lambda. So really being in tune and listening to the leaders that are on the ground is how you really make impact in the spaces that you go to make change in. You don't necessarily want to wholesale change everything, but you do want to make sure that you're understanding of what the challenges are so that you can try to meet those challenges for sure.
Good. I want Brother Carter to join me, and I think there are some questions that might actually be necessary for our undergraduate brothers to be considering, particularly on that small to large chapter, because we know that Charlotte is a powerhouse chapter, right? And so are A&T and Winston-Salem, but there are intimate chapters all across the state. in our undergraduate. And so I'm interested to hear our young brother's insight into what he sees as an important question around this topic.
Yeah, so honing in on something that you touched on, which is more so the quality of the members versus the quantity. My
Yeah.
question is in regard to what ways you have or intend to promote the resources within the organization for potential leadership development, improving the quality of the brothers who occupy these small chapter sizes.
Okay, so if I understand the question correctly, you want to understand how I leverage the office of the district director to promote leadership of the smaller college chapter?
Leadership development of the members within the chapters. So like what ways do you intend to like promote that leadership development? And if you have already, what ways have you done that so far within the college brothers that you preside over?
Oh, perfect. So I mean,
If
we
that
we
makes
go back to the spring for the Emerging Leaders Initiative. I mean, you had an opportunity to speak on your experiences. We had Brother Orlando Mitchell come in and talk about how we engage effectively on campus, and then Brother TJ Holmes came in and talked about the time management and not burning yourself out and really creating that marathon type of experience within the college ranks. And as I said, TO, PINU, all those chapters in this area, we're having membership challenges. So really developing them and supporting them is how we've gotten it done. And I see that happening on a larger level. That's why the College Brothers Summit is so important. Making sure that we undergird our smaller chapters and larger chapters alike in the college ranks really will help us develop a cohesion across chapters so that when it's time to travel and show up for events, we have support across the state because we've built those bonds. It's really going to come down to understanding the need and then addressing the need with the leadership resources we have internally and externally to the district.
Brother Carter, I love Brother Holland's answer. Are there other contours that you think that young brothers might need to know or to think about when thinking about Brother Holland in this regard, in terms of college chapter sizes, growth, or is there another kind of burning question there?
So there really isn't a burning question that I have for Brother Holland. However, I would like to speak on his behalf. So in my experience, in working with him as a college brother, Brother Holland has been an advocate, as he said, of the many different resources available to brothers such as myself. Speaking to my experience, Brother Holland has proved to be foundational in my experience in Baltimore, Maryland, for the Alpha Leadership Academy. He was very, very, very thorough in making sure that I had everything that I needed before going up there. And so everything that he's saying in regard to development of our younger brothers and of our chapters within smaller sizes, I have seen it for myself on a personal level. However, if you all don't mind, I would like to switch to a topic that
Which
I thought was very interesting within your platform. And so
Okay.
that topic, so me being a public health pre-med student, one of the things that really piqued my interest was the introduction of the Surgeon General and Health Provider Network. And so understanding that a lot of people may not be able to afford, proper health care in regard to whether that is prescriptions or just general visits to a doctor. I would love to hear a little bit more about kind of the things that you plan to execute in that portion of your brotherhood continuum phase.
So the health provider network or the continuum of support network really is going to be uh, making sure that we can take our uh, health practitioners that are already brothers and invite them to this network. It gives us an opportunity to build bonds across various regions. If you prefer African American doctor or a ophthalmologist or a dentist, or if you need, like you said, prescription drug services, understanding the brothers that work in the pharmaceutical industry, and really bringing them to bear as we work to build out this network of support. Now, while I don't necessarily have every specific detail, I do know that the Surgeon General will be tasked with getting me those details. We're only as good as our ability to take care of ourselves to impact our communities. So I really want the thought leaders that work in those spaces to design what that desired outcome is going to look like. My job is to just make sure that if they run into impediments, to remove those impediments, but getting those affinity groups up to do preventative health really is going to be a thrust and a focal point initially, while we continue to source our doctors throughout the district that work in various arenas and in various types of medicine, so that when we have the indexes set up on the site, our brothers will be able to go out, take a look, peruse who those doctors are, and make informed decisions on their own health. And then once they get in the privacy with that brother after the initial consultation, they can figure out, the whole insurance aspect of it. I don't want to mind that business. I just want to make sure that we mine all the resources that we need to source the page and make sure the brothers feel supported. Because going back to my time as chapter president, I was really able to move the needle by making sure that brothers felt supported. And while I had initiatives that I wanted to happen at a certain time, every initiative happened when it was supposed to happen. And I want that to be a very distinct difference in what I said. While I had a timetable, the timetable was only as good as our velocity as a group to accomplish that task. So the first thing we always have to do is make sure that our brothers are supported. Once they're supported and they feel empowered, every brother I've run into has had no problem with doing the work of Alpha once they feel supported and heard.
I think you really teed up a really good question, Brother Carter. And Brother Holland, I actually think this is one of those areas that I didn't really think about until your candidacy brought it to my attention. Even
Yeah.
though having worked at Duke, one of our advisors for KO at the time was a dentist. Shout out to the good brother. And he often offered free dental service because we had brothers who had a lot, some brothers had a lot of resources, came from wealth, but there were a lot of brothers who did not have regular medical health professionals. And in one of the ways in which your platform is kind of creating an aha moment around medical professionalism, I am also noting as a college professional that a number of our younger brothers and older brothers are often facing houselessness, right? Particularly in places where it is a resort or it's an urban center.
Mhm.
I imagine that we are not alone as housing costs continue to inflate. Costs continue to inflate. I'm wondering if your houselessness project might also think about where brothers are who might be like in their elderly phase of life, who are on a fixed income, or
Mhm.
young brothers who don't have financial aid, full financial aid. Does that point around houselessness encompass us thinking about what it means to be he ain't heavy, he's my brother inside the house? Just curious.
That is a very good point, Brother Palmer. I mean, we have brothers who have spaces and have access to resources that we could definitely source and provide confidentially to brothers that needed that type of support. But we would definitely need to make sure that we don't violate any type of policies or rules or restrictions around what that looks like, advocating on their behalf. But one thing I can tell you is the information that I shared before, the 211 system is a state system that has been set up to point individuals that struggle in that regard to homelessness and affordable housing resources. And the goal is to, again, mine and gather all of the resources in our larger population centers that can support homelessness and affordable housing, to ensure that we're supporting our brothers in a meaningful way. Like I said, and when we talked about the operational refinement, identifying mutually beneficial relationships is going to be impactful to the work that we get done. So making sure that we have a housing or affordable housing or homelessness partner in the work that we want to do in the Holland administration will also be one of those first year focal points.
Love that. Love that. We want to thank you. We've thought a lot with you. Me and Brother Carter, we
Yeah.
got still more questions, and we get to hope that we will get to tee you up and think about other questions as you go along this journey in due time. But we
Yeah.
do want to open the floor for opportunities for our other brothers to speak about what some things that might be burning questions for them. And we welcome you to our chat to type those questions up, or for us to be able to acknowledge you. If you would raise your hand if you have questions that you think that are germane to what might be needs of Area 1 specifically, or things that you see as trends that you need Brother Holland to pay attention to. And if not, we're gonna move to personal questions. I'm gonna ask him a couple personal questions. Just want to give you a minute or two. While people are formulating their questions, Brother Holland,
Yeah.
talk to me. What's on your playlist right now? Like, if we riding in the car with you, what are you listening to? What informs your ride to work or your ride to pick up the kids?
So I listen to Sirius XM, and I listen to the funk channel, called The Groove. So that's what I'm listening to majorly. But my barber did put me on the new Killer Mike album, so I listen to that from time to time too. It's pretty good.
So you are old school hip hop head, is what you just told us.
Yeah, old school hip hop head. I don't do much with Brother Carter's generation. I respect it because I'm a musician at heart. Like I used to sing bass baritone. I probably still could if I wanted to. So I like all varying types of music, but Brother Carter's generation is tough. You got to really be listening to see what they talking about. So,
Yeah, yeah. If you see me in the club,
right.
us university professionals got to learn it all. We have to learn it all. What's on
Right.
your bookshelf? What books are you reading that informs your writing, reading, reflection time? What does that look like if we are paying attention to you?
So books, not really, but periodicals. I like to read People. I'll read Time, and I like to read the newspaper in the morning. So I do that digitally.
Oh, really?
I'm a current events guy. So I like to know what's going on in the city. I like to understand, the larger trends of what's going on in Charlotte, and just be in the know is what I'm primarily reading on a daily basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a Winston-Salem grad, do you find yourself as kind of a HBCU fanatic? Or are you how do you see the collegiate world? Even though you got small PWIs, HBCUs, big schools all in your area, where do you find yourself in terms of the college experience?
So in terms of the college experience, I support every uh, college chapter in my area, but I'm HBCU made, so that's where my heart is. I'm always gonna be a Ram. Rams are gonna come first, and I want to encourage even the brothers that go to PWIs, get your grad degree from an HBCU. It'll change your life. So,
And it will. What are you watching? What things are you watching at the house? What you binge watching? Are you an insecure person? Are you binge watching
uh,
Supernatural? What's up with that?
no, so I actually just got finished binge watching Snowfall. I was super behind, and I hated the way that it went off. I'm really upset that they did Franklin Saint the way they did him. But that's usually how writing goes. I mean, I watch enough TV to know that everybody has to fall tragically at some point. I was a real big Game of Thrones fan when Game of Thrones was out. Uh, I got into House of the Dragon, but COVID has delayed production. So I don't even know if it's gonna come back.
Yeah,
The missus is a fan of The Shy, so
I'm watching that.
I entertain The Shy. because that gives us a connective point each week after we have our family meeting. So yeah, it's back. What's coming back? What's coming back? The Shy
House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon coming back? Well, I need him to
It
hurry up
definitely is.
because it's taking them too long. So,
Brother,
go ahead.
we do have a question. Brother Bullock has asked a question around the information related to your Alpha Ambassador program. Can you talk a little bit about its use in the Holland administration?
Yeah, so the Alpha Ambassador program is essentially this. We have community organizations and community potential partnerships that meet during the daytime. I want to get my senior brothers engaged in really joining those boards of the efforts that are important to your local community. I really see the Alpha Ambassadors program also being a connective point from a generational perspective because I want our senior brothers to really provide active mentoring. I know that when we get it up and off the ground, I'm signing up for a senior brother mentor because I really feel like it's important as we continue to develop and grow as men and alpha leaders to have brothers that have come before us really be able to impart wisdom even to the college brother alike. So those are the top two things that come to mind. Of course, the senior brothers are going to continue to have their lounge, but I want them to have a reimagined lounge at the district conference where they have technology issues. They can bring their tech implements to the district conference, get support from the technology director and technology team, because as we continue to leverage technology in the Holland administration to make ease of use lighter, we need to bring our senior brothers along with us. So those are the top three desired outcomes that I want to see. But the senior brothers may have things that are important to them that they want to see championed that we'll attempt and earnestly try to make space for.
I love that you've already started reimagining how Anchor District Convention might operate. Are there other things that we should pay attention to around what the Anchor Convention might do? Because a lot of us who grew up in Alpha enjoy going to convention. I don't know if do younger brothers enjoy going to convention, Brother Carter?
No comment.
I mean, being fully transparent, I mean, no. And it's simply just because like I guess the way that conferences and conventions have been set up in the past, they haven't really been set up to really teach college brothers, more so like about, I guess, kind of why things are happening the way they're happening and the different types of language used in specific meetings and why going to certain meetings are important. And like oftentimes, like I found myself like sitting beside a college brother at a meeting and they have no idea about the jargon that's being used. Why are people walking up to mic? So I mean, honestly, like the foundational things that are necessary when attending meetings just really aren't given to college brothers. So is there anywhere in your platform that I guess kind of goes over I guess educating college brothers more so on, I guess, the business of Alpha and allowing them to enjoy and grow and develop within their leadership while pursuing more knowledge on the organization as a whole?
Yeah, again, I think it goes back to the College Brothers Summit, Brother Carter. We have to make sure that when we have that summit, we're providing you with all the basic tools that you'll need to understand at least what's going on. And then once you understand, you can find your way to make a difference. I will tell you, in the time that I've supported the district conferences, we've not had any college brother involvement or representation on that committee. So that changes in the Holland administration. The district conference is a all-consuming being when it's district conference season. So ensuring that we have college brothers on the committee advocating for college brother activity and concern in the context of putting on a quality event will definitely be a focus in my administration.
Well, Brother Holland, Brother
Yeah.
Carter, we have now run out of time, and we know that brothers have to get to work tomorrow and get back to school and studying. all the way up in ECU and Ahoskie and Allander and all points up and up east or down east, as they say. And so we want to thank every brother for joining us tonight, both on Zoom and on Facebook. We want to thank Brother Holland for answering questions. And I want to thank my amazing co-host, Brother Carter, for doing a yeoman's job at bringing attention to the light of college brothers. We look forward to a Holland administration, and we wish you well. There is a brotherhood engagement survey. We ask that you can find it and fill it out. And then we look forward to more open houses, virtual open houses, where we get to engage with our candidate, Holland. Thank you so much, and have an amazing evening tonight.
Thank you, brothers, for joining.
We'll see you soon.